Hi everyone, welcome to week 8 of our Composition 1 class. This week you are going to be wrapping up writing Project 2 and providing some feedback to your peers and receiving some in return. For task 8.1, you're going to be completing peer review, which is the week 7/8 discussion board. The first thing you should do is claim a couple of peers' drafts. In order to claim, you are just going to reply to their post, letting them know that you are going to be reading their paper. And try not to claim a draft if two other people have already claimed it. Once you have claimed your drafts, you're going to read through them and keep these questions in mind. Is their opening/intro engaging? And how could it be more engaging? Is the thesis clear? Does it make a specific claim about how the student's images relate to one or more of the lens texts? In any sections that describe the images, are there enough specific details, examples, quotes from the images to help the readers see them? Even though you will be including the images on your paper, you still want to describe them in enough detail that a reader would be able to picture them even if they couldn't see them. And are there any areas in their descriptions that need to be improved? In any sections that analyze the images, are there specific references to the lens texts, those videos that we watched a few weeks ago? Is the connection between the lens text or texts and the images clear? So it should be very apparent how their images relate back to the lens text. They're going to need to be pretty explicit about those connections. Does the paper have clear organization and transitions? Could the organization or transitions be improved? Are sources cited correctly in the text of the paper and in the works cited page according to MLA guidelines explained in the textbook and in the learning module for the week? Is it a sentence or a series of sentences you really like? If so, consider commenting on them. And the flip side of that, is there a sentence or maybe a series of sentences that you find confusing? If so, you may want to point that out to your peer. What words of encouragement can you provide the writer? Finally, share some tips from the chapters you've been consulting in the field guide to help. Have you come across a section or an idea from the book that might be especially helpful to your peer? If so, tell them and give them specific details about where to find the info. Once you've finished reading, write a detailed response to each author, giving praise for what they're doing well and suggestions for improving the areas that need work. You can type your responses directly into the reply thread, or you can make a video or an audio recording of yourself talking directly to your peer. If you would like to make a video or audio recording, you can follow the instructions here below. Now, I will say a lot of people lost points the first time we did our peer review for just not going into a lot of detail, not really giving any specific examples, and giving very short feedback. In order to get full credit for this assignment, I'll be looking to see that you have given a really pretty good amount of feedback to your peers in order to better help them revise their paper. Moving on to the next task. In task 8.2, you're going to be revising and editing your work. Be sure to use the comments that you receive from your peers to make your draft even better. Also, as you complete your draft, do a final editing check to catch sentence level mistakes, for example, mistakes in grammar or punctuation or even spelling. As a tip, while you're editing, ask yourself whether you are appropriately qualifying the assertions you make about your images. So, in other words, when we make arguments or make claims about anything, it's very rare that we are 100% correct 100% of the time. Or oftentimes there are exceptions to the rule. So oftentimes it can be good to acknowledge those exceptions in your writing. Watching the video below will give you some tips on qualifying the things that you say. In task 8.3, you're going to be taking stock of your work. I'm noticing here that my My picture is maybe covering up some of the words here, so I'm going to shrink myself down a little bit. After you received peer feedback and revised your draft, please write down answers to these questions. So this activity is just kind of a way for you to do one last final check of your draft, make sure you're doing the things that need to be done before you submit the final copy. First of all, write a head note for your paper. A head note is a one paragraph about the author piece. In this case, the author is you. Write about yourself in third person. So, and for example, like if I were writing about myself in third person, I would say Jacob. Tell readers something about yourself as a writer. Be sure to explain your connection to or interest in the specific images you chose for this project. How did your peers influence your writing? Are you pleased with how your paper turned out overall? Why or why not? What did you learn from writing this paper and working on this unit of the course? How do you think this learning can or will transfer to future writing that you do, whether that be in other classes or in the workplace or even just in your personal life? Take a look back at your writing project 1, taking stock of your writing. You can find that in week 4. Where you identified a habit of mind you wanted to work on during the course, which is based on chapter 4 in your textbook. What was the habit of mind you identified earlier? And in what ways did you work toward developing that habit of mind during the second unit of our course? Pick another habit of mind you want to develop this semester and explain why that one is important to you. Next, can you nominate one or more students' work on Writing Project 2 for possible inclusion in the Student Success Gallery? Did anyone really stand out to you doing an especially good job for this paper? Finally, tell me how our class is going so far for you. What's going well? What could be improved? How are you doing overall? As a person, not just as a student, and especially considering, just a lot of stuff going on right now in the world, and everyone I think is being impacted by that in different ways. If there's anything you feel like I can help you with, feel free to let me know. On this page, you're going to submit your week 8 work. This week, you're going to be submitting just the writing that you did for task 8.3. And now, please note that you are not submitting the final draft of your paper here. You're going to be submitting that on the next page. So here you'll notice this is the last page in this module, Submit Writing Project 2. You'll be submitting it here. Make sure that you are submitting your project as a docx file, or in other words, a Microsoft Word file. I believe a PDF will also be fine. What I don't want you to do is to copy and paste your paper into this text box. I am not able to comment directly on your paper. If you just paste it here, you need to upload it as a separate document. Okay, I believe that is it for this week. If there's any questions you have for me, just let me know.